Our purpose of existence is actually we want to create opportunities and allow anybody, whether you missed a state university or not, we want to actually let them learn, follow their passion and learn to be globally competitive. Talent is not only in Colombo or Western Province, talent is out everywhere. So we need a graduate who is more flexible and adaptable into given situation. You see, we need people who can solve problems. What you give is a very good solid foundation, these young learners, graduates, so that they are ready to take up the challenges and self-learn and adapt into a given situation.
Hi everyone, and today we are here to discuss the ESOFT ESU story. And joining me in the studio to discuss is Dr. Dayan Rajapakse, Chairman and Managing Director of ESOFT ESU. Welcome, Dr. Rajapakse.
Hi, hello, Miran.
You're a medical doctor.
Yeah.
And I remember maybe 25 years ago when ESOFT opened, very small, one branch, 40 now. And now I see a massive ESU, ESOFT University building coming up as well. Just trace the development of the ESOFT ESU brand and what was your purpose when you started and has that changed over the last 25 years?
Yeah, Imran. I come from our station. So I was born in a small town called Naramala, right, from Kurunegala district. So I myself didn't have much access to education, right? I had to come all the way to Colombo after my O-levels to learn some ICT, right? But I thought that the same problem would have been there for many. I mean, I faced that problem in the 80s, latter part of 80s. But even by the time I graduated as a medical doctor, still by 2000, still that accessibility to education was not there. Although we talk about free education, right? Freedom of education, right? Where everybody's right to get access to some meaningful education. So actually that was the problem that we wanted to solve. Make education more affordable as well as accessible to young learners, youth of this particular country. That's how we had a very humble beginning in year 2000. Actually, we started in Kirulapan, a very small center, right at the junction.
I know, I remember it very well.
Then we moved into Bambalapitiya, and then, that's still one center. But then 2005, we branched out. I want to do something back to my hometown. I started first branch in Kurunegala, and that went on. So I think the purpose was very, very clear. Right? We wanted to make it readily available to each and every young learner, youth of this particular country, because ICT was becoming kind of a tool that everybody need to have. Right, it's just people are talking about literacy in terms of ICT literacy as well. So we didn't want to actually deprive anybody from that. So that's the original purpose. But now over the years, actually, we have evolved, right? We know that, today the demand is not only in technology, but there are so many demanding fields. And we want to make sure that, today our purpose of existence is actually we want to create opportunities and allow anybody, whether you missed a state university or not, right? We want to actually let them learn, follow their passion and learn to be globally competitive. And that's actually how this ESU brand comes into existence. We are for a much more broader vision and a purpose now, because today we should not think about job demand in this country. We have to think about global demand. We are in very much need of foreign exchange. So if we should produce globally competitive talent who should go out there to the world and grab those opportunities and bring something back. Of course, brain drain is a problem. However, some of them, not everyone can find lucrative employment here. So we are actually our goal is to produce, to match the local need, demand, run our industries effectively, as well as produce graduates which are fit to serve the global employment requirement.
And in your view, the accessibility problem, is it still a big problem? And we have long.
Yeah, I think yes, because now if you take the government school network, right? Still, you don't have uniform access. Right?
Absolutely.
In terms of physical resources as well as especially human resource. Do you find equally competitive teachers everywhere in the country. I had my challenges, when I started the company. When I want to set up a branch in Jaffna, people asked, how do you find resources? Right? Yes, it was a challenge, but I was actually believing in our ecosystem, and eventually we found the right kind of capable people, talent from the local community itself. That's how I was able to create a sustainable system. Otherwise, you can just start up a branch, but if you don't have enough resources, both especially human resource, you can't sustain your operations. I was able to get that from. I think in that way, our country, although some countries, if you go, only the capital is developed. But I think we have a very good, infrastructure as well as living standards and capable people all around the country, right? So that made me, successful in building this large network. But I don't think, my network is alone is not enough.
Of course.
Right, we probably, I think government also have their technical colleges and so on. But I think we need more of these to come and go to the periphery of the country, because talent is not only in Colombo or Western Province. Talent is out everywhere. We have to find out. I mean, it's like a gem which is hidden. You have to polish it and take it out, and that's what we are doing.
Excellent. 25-year journey, a long one. What are the key challenges that you had, and also the obstacles that you had, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, one challenge was actually when I wanted to aggressively branch out and go into because we had a plan to open up 50 branches. In fact, we did come to close to 50, but ultimately what has sustained, and we had to have a demand as well for us to retain a branch. In fact, we started branches in Kilinochchi, in Mullaitivu as well. But then after the road network improved, nobody wanted to study in Kilinochchi. They came to Jaffna. Right, so now we are at 40. The challenge, one is the capital. Of course, I'm still, we are a family-owned business, so finding capital was not easy. But however, with the bank's support, we got that. Other thing is the resource, human resource. Sometimes it was quite challenging to find the right kind of competent people from those areas itself. Sometimes we had to hire them from other places and mobilize them into those locations, which we did. We did not share the resources. Sometimes, or very rarely, we shared the resources, because at that time, online or distance learning was not very acceptable. After the pandemic, the situation changed. But however, those days people wanted face-to-face learning. So human resource was one of the other biggest challenge we had. And also I had a little bit of challenges with working with the regulatory authorities also, because I think some of them a little bit too obsolete. Our regulations not up to date, because now today people are looking at, doesn't matter how you acquire the skill, how long you take to acquire the skill is not important. But sometimes in this country, for example, for you to award a diploma, or a certificate as a minimum duration of 6 months or minimum duration of 12 months. These were some of the hiccups that we had, some of the red tape. I was very dynamic and agile, understanding what the needs of the industries, and was geared to change. But only thing is the system also has to be supportive. And I had some obstacles in those also. But however, we found solutions. We went into UK frameworks, aligned with the UK qualification frameworks, which were somewhat, little ahead than what our frameworks were. So those are some of the challenges I had.
Excellent. And you're a pioneer, so that means, you're carrying the rest of the industry as well. Let me come to the ESU, the new brand that you have. International collaborations have been a very important part of that. Yeah. How is those collaborations feeding into the local ecosystem, and how important is it, to give leadership for students and others as well through these international partnerships?
As I told you, Imran, now what we are looking at is, producing globally competitive graduates, output which is matching the global job market. So that is where these international curricula and international partnerships become very useful. If you have to, understand the insights and come up with your own curricula, it will take some time.
Absolutely.
And also we might not have that competency to do that. So we are working with a lot of reputed British university partners. Britain has been a hub of education. And so we got their support actually. It's not only we just brought their qualifications and just deployed them in Sri Lanka. We did localization of curricula. For example, when you look at the assignment, what we said, are not from UK example. They are based on cases from Sri Lanka. So there is localization. Right, so we brought in the local flavor into an international curriculum. Actually, our Pearson qualification, we are the largest in Sri Lanka for Pearson Higher Nationals. So that really allowed us, gave us that freedom for our local academics to contribute and build their own assignments. They only set the basic framework, learning outcomes and so on. So that had the opportunity for us to bring our local flavor into our learning process, because ultimately these kids have to go and work for our local companies as well. So that's how we did that. I think it's a good thing, because if I tell you correctly, like, we brought the global qualifications locally reachable and affordable via this ecosystem. I think, if this was not there, many of these people, many students who went through us and got qualified with British qualification would have never done that. Right? If you are thinking of if you do not have that kind of opportunity, you have to go there and study. How many of those? Only a fraction of people would have that capacity to send their children overseas and get these kind of qualifications. So I think we have added a lot of value to the local higher education ecosystem. In terms of variety, accessibility and affordability, so that the students can study what they like to study. Again, I can come back to you that, otherwise what happens is that those days, if you look at in the 80s or something like that, if you missed out an opportunity to state university,
that's it.
That's it, right? Your higher education dream is gone, right? It's completely shattered. But it's not, like us, there are so many other players as well in the market, but we have really made that transformation in the local higher education ecosystem.
Future for ESU, what other plans you have, in terms of the ESU brand itself? So
as I said, originally we were only predominantly IT, but now with ESU we have 5 faculties. So IT is one of them. Technology is important, because Sri Lanka looks at, especially with AI coming in, they want Sri Lanka to become a AI innovative hub, which is, at least if you could catch that wave, I believe that is good for our economy. So that is one area. But the others is actually we are also into engineering. Then business and law. We also have art and design faculty. So we have started fashion design. Very soon we are looking at bringing in interior design, kind of other multimedia technology already we have. So art and design faculty is there. Then also the life sciences, because global demand is there for healthcare.
Absolutely.
Healthcare professionals. Actually, if I see now things like nursing, right, which we have started. Biomedical engineering. Of course, I don't want to touch the very controversial area of medicine.
Of course,
how many private education initiatives on medicine failed in this country. So I don't want to go into that domain. But other than that, a lot of paramedical stuff. Right, the healthcare sector is growing. So we are looking.
And the world is aging.
Yeah, aging population is becoming a problem. So we need a lot of people with health care qualifications to reach out to the global market.
One of the constraints that you discussed before was the role of the government and the outdated regulations. How can governments in the future help you and people like you to sort of make education accessible?
Yeah, I think what we expect from the government is mostly, private sector will grow on its own, right? Only thing what we'll require from the government is a very clear vision, right? What is their vision for higher education? At the moment, unfortunately, we don't have a clear direction, right? Whether they are, promoting private education or not. Do you want for us to look at education services export? which is a very lucrative, industry globally, not only in the West.
Of course.
Now even Asian countries
are Malaysia, for example.
they're capitalized on that. So do you really want us to, get that opportunity? Because Sri Lanka is very much, having all the required setup to become a knowledge hub, right? If you look at our education system, we are not second to anybody in this region. So why aren't we using that opportunity, right, to attract international students? Then that not only brings us, economic advantage, but add a lot of good, international flavor to our own students. Otherwise, they are paying a lot of dollars and, hard-earned foreign exchange to get that experience and go to Malaysia.
Exactly.
Why they have to do that if they can get that international experience? So that's what really we want. One is a very clear vision. The other thing that we are expecting from the government is basically because currently our higher education space is not perfectly regulated from a single structure. For example, even though University Grants Commission exists, our private higher education degree awarding institutions are not regulated by UGC, but a separate arm from the Ministry of Education. But then TNE, transnational education, where, like the British or Australian franchise programs are neither regulated by none of these. So unregulated industry is maybe good for new entrants, but it's not good for the parents and the students as well as
for the country.
Good for the country, because that will not portray or give us the right perception what we need if you want to go out there and say international students to be attracted into this country. So what we want is the government to, I think this is on the cards. I'm hoping that the process get expedited and then we have a fair regulatory mechanism. It has to be fair, and we need to have, for example, a fair system which will not throw entities out,
Absolutely.
but align them towards the national goals. For example, if you take now, we have 17 public universities. Not all of them are in the same standard.
Of course.
Right? Now, you can't match the University of Colombo standard for an institution which has started 10 years ago. But eventually, some minimum benchmark has to be there, and we have to guide them to come to that national expectation. Right. So as I told you again, we should not let anybody throw out, and get them to align and make sure that we don't want our children or parents to be deceived by a higher education provider. So that is what we expect from the government.
I want to pick your brain on another area, that is the role of students themselves. Right now, you set out to provide accessibility. I think we're on that journey. Then we try to provide employer-ready students. But now society's demand goes beyond this, right? They want responsible citizens, because if you look at all the sort of revolutions that are happening around the world, there seems to be something wrong somewhere in terms of the kind of young people that we are producing. So what is ESOFT ESU doing in that regard?
Yeah, education without values is of course no use, right? We have to make a citizen with good integrity, because with the technologies and with the tools that are available today, you can, anybody can make a lot of, misuse of that, abuse of that. What prevents you from that? Maybe not the law. Sometimes law is also coming late.
Too late.
It is your moral values and ethics, right? That is what is important. So we are always very much concerned about that. We build that. Of course, our value system comes from school. When the children comes, they have certain amount of value system. It comes from their household, from their parents, but then we build on top of that. Especially sometimes the professional ethics relating to specific professions, right? Some of the curricula have those subjects. Right, we teach them ethics and values as a maybe sometimes not the core module but co-curricular, but we do that because that's very important. Sometimes lack of such awareness may lead to somebody making a mistake or abusing that one. So that's one important thing. Other important thing is actually now today, with all these threats that are coming with technology, redundancy that technology can do, like with AI. So we need a graduate who is more flexible and adaptable into given situation. In fact, simply, if you see, we need people who can solve problems. right? Not just merely having some subject knowledge. That is what we are looking at. We are actually very much in the process of creating knowledge, transforming them into a person who can apply that knowledge and solve a problem. So how you do that is mostly, our courses, if you look at, 80% of them are assessment, not exams, right? Because if you go to exams, it's just only testing theoretical knowledge, right? Of course, I'm not telling that exams are not needed, but however, we try to give a balance so that they are practical, they can solve problems. I think in future, the problems are becoming more and more complex. So you may need a multidisciplinary approach in tackling these problems. And you should be able to work with other people, diverse teams, right? That's very important. You may not be able to alone solve any problem, right? And you have to contribute with your part and work with others. So these are the transferable skills, communication skills and values, and ability to adapt into given situation. Those are very much core in our undergraduate and postgraduate teaching.
Absolutely. I don't know whether you've seen a recent interview with President Obama where he was asked, what sort of graduate, among university students. He said, people who can solve problems. I think you're producing the exact kind of person. Another area that about students that I want to pick your brain on is that they, there's a lot of pressure, and I'm sure you have felt it when you were studying also, to specialize very early. So you started off as a medical doctor, found a passion in education, and then you were able to switch. But I think today there's a lot of pressure from parents at a very young age, find your, and not only parents, from peers as well, right? Find your niche early, just stick to it. If you change your mind, there's a,
yes.
But that's not the way I think the future is too volatile to do that. And how is the ESU allowing people to sort of discover what they're passionate about and then, going that way?
No, this is actually something very important because these young students sometimes still they don't know what they really want to do. Right? If you ask today, they will tell you one thing, and if you ask 1 month later, they will tell you something else. Right? We actually allow that flexibility to be integrated into curricula, and allow the people to make a choice. If you want, you can switch and do something else. For example, our system is quite unique. Right. For example, our first 2 years of most of the programs are coming from one awarding body, which is Pearson Higher National Diplomas. Right? And then we have the final year coming, which is called a top-up degree. So therefore, the students can start with HND. After first semester, you are able to switch your stream and so on. If you think that, for example, I can start with IT degree. If you think that I don't want to complete with IT degree, I want to see how IT can be applied with the business knowledge, you can even switch to a business top-up degree. So because you have completed the required credits amount, so we allow that switching, because sometimes at the time you start, you really don't know whether that is something that fits you, whether that is the thing that, and also the other thing is the dynamicity of these industries.
Oh my God, yes.
The demand is also changing. When I start the degree, maybe there's a demand for software engineer, but which by the time you finish it,
it's all AI.
it might code is generated by AI. So therefore, we have to have that freedom. And also another very important thing that will add on to the flexibility that we give is, we don't ask you to pay for the entire program or entire semester, even that matter for entire semester at once. We allow you monthly payments.
Very good.
Yeah, right. If you really want to switch, you can give up on that and start on something because you're not fully financially committed. But otherwise, let's say for example, if you paid a lump sum amount of money, which is your parents' saving, and then you decide to switch, you can't switch because you are financially committed and you don't have any more funds to channel to something else. So our monthly payments also, of course, that has, as a business, it has affected us because you have dropouts.
Absolutely.
But however, I think that flexibility, adaptability is needed in today's world. No one can think what will be my best fit, right? I don't know. Well, I mean, if I give you an example, my sister, of course, I'm a doctor and turned into an IT professional. My sister wanted to do medicine, but she couldn't, and then she became a lawyer. Now she's a nurse working in Melbourne. Right? So, this change of careers is very, very uncommon probably in this part of the world. and people think that it's something that you shouldn't do.
Absolutely.
But whereas in the developed countries, it's a quite often
very
thing.
quite
Quite often.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Another area that we get a lot of complaints from in terms of students is that they have very little practical experience. You have people getting PhDs in their late 20s who have never worked a day in their life, and they come out to the workforce and realize that nobody really is interested in them. How does the ESU universe make sure that people are work ready?
That's a very important question. What I am today is because I started my first job when I was 19, right? Even before entering a state university to follow my medical degree. I sat for exam in August. 1st of September, I was employed. Right. So this is something that we do to our learners at ESU, is because we allow them to, grab whatever job that they would like to get. It can be entry-level job in your respective industry, but go and work there. Get to know what's happening in the industry out there. So we encourage even as early as, on completion of first year to start a job. So we are not telling you to, finish the course and go and do an internship, right? Because internship, again, sometimes, people don't, it's just for the sake of doing it, you people are doing it. Sometimes the employer is also not taking the maximum use of the intern. Intern also had not that got value, just only are, marking the records that I did an internship. Absolutely. But it's not like that. If you start an entry-level job, for example, let's say I'm in the hospitality trade, you can just start and go in a, property, maybe as a restaurant operator, helper in the restaurant. That will give you hands-on experience and know what it is out there. And then probably if you come back to the classroom and then learn, you will know what to learn and what knowledge will be, how to apply that. That is what is more important. Absolutely. So this early employment is one of our key things. How you facilitate that is, we have full-time programs, as well as we have most of these programs available on part-time on weekends. So if you get employed, you can switch to part-time on the weekends, right? And also some people are working on the weekends. So we have a weekday option for them, not all 5 days of the week. So we have very flexible schedules. And also we have hybrid learning. So we have something called ESOFT Online. So first 2 years of your course, if you want, you can learn in specialized streams only. You can't learn on engineering online, you can't learn nursing online. But there are a few courses like business. You can study fully online first 2 years. So there are enough of ways we facilitate work and study together. In fact, actually, we are working with some of the reputed brands. They hire the person and send to us. I can't disclose the brands here. We're working with some multinational companies where they hire the person with the right kind of capabilities, and they start working, and then only they send the person for them to pursue through some academic journey.
Excellent. I think that's the kind of collaboration you need.
Yeah, so that will be actually, because we are aligned. They know what kind of a person that you want. We know what they're expecting, and we can, co-create rather than we creating and find that it is a mismatch
with the company.
Mismatch with the company. Otherwise, you find that there are so much of vacancies in advertise, but they are also claiming that, there are unemployed graduates are there. So what is the problem? It's a mismatch. So if you go into these kind of collaborations and you co-create the output what you need with that collaboration, then this mismatch won't be there.
Right throughout this interview, one thing is very clear, that more than anybody I have met in recent times, you're very aware of the dynamic changes in the environment. But you work with learning partners and you have to work with them as well. So how is the ESU universe looking at its whole curriculum development? How does it look at changing the different models that you teach, how you teach, what you teach, to keep aligned with what is happening around?
Yeah, so that's how I'm also very much connected with the industry. For example, the IT industry, I'm very much connected, and we bring in a lot of industry experts also with those networks that we have, and get them to get involved with the academics in curriculum creation. But otherwise, even if you say that you want an AI degree, but if you don't teach the particular type of technology what they're expecting on. For example, if you take, for example, generative AI, and if you're not teaching large language models, they might not say that we are doing the right thing, right? So basically, that is how we co-create this one. And also the other benefit that we have is that we are working with our international partners also. For example, if you are a little late in understanding, gathering those insights, sometimes it can come from our international partner. So all these little things help in building curricula which are up to date and ready, future ready. But whatever said and done, sometimes the technology changes faster than we think, right? If you think about now 4-year degree, right? In 4 years, what can happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You never know what will happen in next 4 years, right? So therefore, as I told you, in what there's a saying, learning can never be stopped, right? Learning is lifelong. What you give is a very good solid foundation for these people, these young learners, graduates, so that they are ready to take up the challenges and self-learn and adapt into a given situation.
Final question. You are responsible in many ways for every single person that goes out of ESU and ESOFT. And in your head, you must have what not everybody will obviously side for this particular model, but in your head you must have the values of an ideal ESU graduate. What are they?
Most important thing is that you should be basically flexible and adaptable, right? You should be also resilient, right? And you must be a team player with good integrity and values. That's the kind of thing. So I don't really say that you need to be an expert subject knowledge. You can't be an expert in subject knowledge because subject knowledge evolves,
yes.
right? You can never say that I'm up to date in knowledge in a particular domain. So therefore, if you are ready to work with other people, and if you have good values and integrity, and if you are ready for lifelong learning, and if you are resilient, you are a good fit for this world.
Dr. Dayan Rajapakse, thank you for sharing the ESOFT ESU story, and good luck for the next 25 years.
Thank you, Urman. Pleasure to be here. Thanks.